Hi, this is Lisa Rangel with Chameleon Resumes, the premier executive resume writing company. And thank you so much for joining me today. Today, we're going to talk about raises, but we're going to do it in a way that no one really talks about. And we're going to talk about it here today. So what we're going to talk about today is, are you a good ROYEI? So it's a twist on the return on investment conversation. ROYEI is, are you a good return on your employer's investment? That's the key. So ROYEI, are you a good return on your employer's investment in you, in the form of your salary, your compensation, the seat that you have, right? And this applies to anyone really at any level in an organization. You know, it's not just the senior leadership, it's somebody just starting out. You know, nobody has a job today in today's economy out of charity, right? So the dollars that your employer is spending on you, investing in you by hiring you, you know, they want to see a return on their investment. And I find that concept gets lost by job seekers, by employees of all levels, of all types, of all professions, when they go in to speak to their boss, to their employer regarding a raise. You know, typically when individuals go in for that raise conversation, you know, they're thinking in a little bit of an insular box, you know, about themselves. You know, okay, I've done a good job. Here's where I've made money or saved money or streamlined a process. I made my customers happy. I made my vendors happy. I'm loyal. You know, I did the job. You know, and they think of themselves in like a report card kind of concept. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. You absolutely need to, because Lord knows if you're not doing the job or not loyal or not on time, not, you know, saving money, making money, streamlining processes, you're certainly not going to get a raise. So you absolutely have to look at that. But where most people fail in their raise discussions, or if after making their case the way I just described and they don't get their raise, I find that they're not thinking about this other element, the ROYEI concept, because I think there's a disconnect with what you think you're bringing to the table and what your employer is getting from you, or thinking they're getting from what you're bringing to the table. So if you can put yourself in your employer's shoes and think about how you are being perceived as a return on their investment in you in the form of your salary, in the form of your compensation, and you address that in a raise conversation, I can almost guarantee you, because obviously I can't guarantee 100% of anything, but I can almost guarantee you that is going to be a more fruitful conversation to lead to the raise that you want. And frankly, it'll even usually lead to a better raise. Because now you're showing that you think like your employer. So here are some examples. You know, ask yourself, is your salary the best use of your employer's dollar? You know, when you think about it from a global standpoint and not just from your selfish, you know, your perspective standpoint. And when I say selfish, I don't mean that in a bad way. You know, when you think about that from a global standpoint, from your employer's perspective and not just yours, what's the answer to that question? You know, are you performing in a way that would make that answer be satisfactory to your employer? You know, so from an employer's perspective, you know, another, you know, question to ask yourself is, you know, is what you do, can it be done by someone less expensive? And, you know, that I think is a really pivotal question, especially for more experienced employees. You know, frankly, that type of discussion can sometimes lead to ageism, but I don't necessarily think so. You know, and I say this as somebody who is over 40, you know, it's an economics question. You know, if the reality is what you do can be done by someone cheaper at any age, right? It's an economic situation. So then you need to go, if you want to maintain what you're making, obviously, or make more, then you need to demonstrate why, you know, what is the return on their investment, that extra salary dollar that they're giving you that's above market rate or above the rate they can get someone else to do it for cheaper. What other bonus are they getting by hiring you? And it simply can't be that you're, have more seniority, that you're loyal, that you're more experienced. It can't be that. So, answer those questions when you go into the raise conversation, and think about your employer's perspective. And that's where you're going to start to get a more meatier, more results that you're looking for type of conversation, because that they're going to see that you get them, and it's then important for them to get you too. But you need to show that you get them too. And you can't go into a conversation thinking like, well, I've been loyal, I've done all my work, I've done, and it's sometimes more than that. I'd say most cases it's more than that. Another way to think of it is, what else can be done with the money that they're spending on you if they were to redirect it somewhere else? Could they have a better ROI with spending it somewhere else? So that's how that question, if you ask yourself that question before going into a raise conversation, that's where you start to give yourself some job security, because by addressing it head on, you are always making sure that your company's dollars being invested in you in the form of your salary are going to be fruitful for them. Because if you start taking your job for granted, or think they can't replace you, or think what you do is too important, maybe in an insular way it is, right? Maybe in an isolated way it is. But when you start thinking bigger picture, what's the opportunity cost in giving you your salary for what in giving them your salary? Are they losing out on other opportunities? Would the money be better spent somewhere else? And as long as you can always do the work that you do, in an inventive, productive way, the answer to that question will always then be in your favor. They should be spending it with you, so they should be investing in you. And, this philosophy is something that I have abided by my whole career. It's what we, teach our clients in salary negotiations. In 2003, 2004, when I was 7-8 months pregnant with my son at the time, I got a raise and a promotion right before I went out on maternity leave. And, I know there's the camp, of which I am one, that would say I should never have been denied a raise or a promotion simply because I was pregnant. But let's face it, right? There's inequities in the workforce sometimes, and that could have easily been an undiscussed excuse as to why I didn't get what I worked for and earned for. But more importantly, it's because I presented it as a return on an employer's investment. And I demonstrated, I was in a sales position, and I demonstrated that they weren't just getting someone who was, just doing the normal sales routine, responding to inquiries, and making sure my staff was doing the same thing. I mean, we looked for new markets to expand into. We looked for different ways of maximizing the business that we already had and making that bigger with larger margins. So, we looked at different things. I looked at different things, and I showed them that, despite me being out for the next 3 months, I'm going to set my team up. I'm going to, make sure that they know what to do these different things that I discussed with them, and that it was still worth it. And I got it. So, if you are always thinking from your employer's perspective, why it is worth investing in you above market rate, and you demonstrate the how and the why, and you deliver, that is almost recession proof. That is almost market fluctuation proof. And I say almost because, again, nothing's 100%, but that's how people need to go into salary negotiation discussions, not simply with their report card. You need to think about your audience who's giving you that money that you're asking for, and make it worth it for them, and show how you are a worthy investment that they will get a return on. And so those types of philosophies and tactics I have in my Fat Stacks ebook. That is a salary negotiations guidebook that you'll be able to get through the link below there in this description. It is one of the least expensive products that I sell. It's $27, and it is an amazing resource to help you really frame and reframe what you bring to the table in a different way that I can guarantee you that most of your competitors and work associates are not doing. And you're going to come across like a leader when you think this way at any level. So again, my Fat Stacks ebook that helps with salary negotiations is going to be down below there. You'll see the link for it. And if you like this video, then please go ahead and down below as well, like the video, share it, comment. I read and reply to every comment. If you have a question, you can email me at lr@chameleonresumes.com. I also read and reply to every email. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do. So this way you won't miss the next video. Again, it's Lisa Rangel with Chameleon Resumes, premier executive resume writing company. And I thank you so much for joining me today. Take good care.